Because in the end, the real difference from our generation and the generation before is that we know that we're never going to be with one person for the rest of our life. It's never going to happen unless you die young.
I'm Alyssa. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Sun Valley, Idaho, and I'm in a relationship with a Frenchman.
Hi, I'm Vedant. I'm 30 years old. I'm from India, and I'm single.
I'm Vivian Lee. I'm from Brazil and Denver, and I'm single and 38 years old.
Patrick, I'm from Paris, and I'm in a relation for 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. Just that I was reading some philosophical texts about it, and Freud talking about the more choice and the more, the higher is the satisfaction.
But nowadays, with things like Tinder and other dating apps and things like this, and a kind of more modern way of living, we maybe don't have to make that choice as soon as we did in the past.
Yeah.
So this is why maybe now we're making more kind of satisfied, longer relationships when they happen. You may have to choose around a little bit before, but that choice to choose around before wasn't really available in previous generations where you had that
before
pressure.
It used to happen very quickly. Our parents used to get married very quickly in their early 20s and establish a family. Now we're just like dating around and we have all the time.
I think the satisfaction is the problem. Whether you talk about relation or talk about
Well,
our relation with the app, satisfaction is the problem for our generation. It's like it's more related to consumption. You can question monogamy and still be in a monogamous relation. I mean, you're gonna find a person, but for how long? Because in the end, the real difference from our generation and the generation before is that we know that we're never gonna be with one person for the rest of our life. It's never gonna happen unless you die young. But it's not gonna happen because you're gonna be bored. He's gonna be bored because that's who we are now. We just want to skip and go to further and further.
Yeah, but that can grow to something else too, I believe. Yes, I mean, a long-term relationship, you're gonna hit some, you're gonna have some challenges, and then you may be able to get through the next phase or not. You get divorced and split.
I think the thing I can say about relation or other stuff about our life is that it's easier to quit.
Picking up from what he's saying, I mean, first of all, it's amazing that you can sit on this app for 2 hours and you would have swiped 200 girls. But if you were at a bar and there were 200 girls, would you actually make up your mind to go and say hello to everybody? Would you be courageous enough to go and say hi?
I don't think I would say hello to 5 of them.
I don't think, me personally, I wouldn't want to look at it that way that I would like to quit. It's more of I, myself, get to decide how much time of my life would I want to share it with you. Yeah. It might be 24 hours, it might be 2 minutes, it might be whatever it is, but still there's a value in it. I might cross a lady in the metro station having 2 words and a smile with her, and I'd say, wow, that was a beautiful interaction. I don't have to regret the fact that it doesn't stay for 24 years or something like that,
But I think culturally, this is really interesting to hear you say this, because I find a huge difference between French or in general kind of European culture and American culture in this sense, specifically on dating apps, in the sense that like US guys will find it time wasted if you interchange on Tinder, you go on a date, you don't sleep together. And for them, it's really like, time wasted. I didn't get what I wanted out of that. Whereas in France, there's much more emphasis put on exactly what you described, just enjoying the beauty of an interaction with someone.
I don't think you can generalize the American public to that, can you? There might be people in America, I'm sure there are people in America also who pass by and have a lovely time with you. Coming back to the point that you're saying it's cultural, I'm Indian. Back home, you can go out on dates and stuff, but it's still difficult to have a conversation like this with her, or even advance it to a night where you sleep together and the next day morning you make her coffee and you say, okay, this is what it was and this is how it will be. Go Leo Bulo, I'll do my thing. And it's respected. I think it's mutual. It's not that, I lost my night with you. It was not, you didn't have flowers on the bed. You were not romantic. No, I mean, you read the description, you see what it is. If it interests you, you buy it. If it doesn't interest you, don't buy it. You move on to the next shop.
The only difference, and you can come from a Western culture or an Indian culture, the biggest difference from the past generation is that we actually want to meet people without the idea of one person for the rest of our life. The bigger gap
Sure.
is that we want to have create new kind of interaction or solidarity without the idea of the obligation of the heterosexual.
There is much less pressure on that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think it's us who's deciding. I mean, of course it's us, but it's the way the society is moving. It's the way we are in search of something else, where we create new norms, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there's a new code every day, and some people adhere to it, and some people don't. If you don't, you don't. You lead your life the way you want to do it.
Coming from someone who got married and then divorced at a very young age, I think that really nothing changed in my relationship between dating and being engaged and getting married, other than visa paperwork and a legal, right to stay in a country, and maybe also other people's perception of what our relationship should look like. But in terms of the actual change it made for me and the stability in my life past this question of a visa, there really was no difference. We didn't have, that much money. We managed to buy an apartment, but everything was pretty 50-50. Whereas I think in the past, a woman really needed some sort of external support system in marriage. And there was a lot more security in just daily life in getting married. And that's something that really is not the case these days. So I think, especially in our generation, this idea of getting married, we're being fed it by consumerism. Like, of course, people are on Pinterest. You want the fancy dress, you want the party.
I want to get married.
You want to get married?
Yeah, I want to get married, but only because the society tell me it's like a symbolic, beautiful, nice thing to do.
Yeah.
I want to get married because I want the party.
Exactly.
Yeah, me
The whole
too.
thing surrounding getting married.
The ritual, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
But after that, it's only tax purposes.
Totally.
So now it's becoming less and less a thing. And people get married, but 2 years after it's...
Yeah. And what do you think of the notion of after getting married, things go downhill? Like, I've heard that a lot. Like, things were great, and as soon as people get married, something happens, and then, they split up soon after. Something changes sometimes, right?
Well, in my case, absolutely.
It was right after you got married.
Yeah. Well, it was after friends had booked tickets, deposits were put down. We were like a couple months out from the marriage itself. And I think that sense of security led to my ex finally being able to kind of be open about something he'd been hiding from me. And really, that's what shifted everything. I felt like he waited to reveal this part of himself to me until it was too late for me to back out. And I think that kind of same idea happens with a lot of couples. You get married and then it's like, I don't have to try anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think
People get complacent and they're kind of like, I don't have to make an effort.
Yeah, that's
and
what
then the masks fall off, and then you're like, you see who the person really is, and they're like, oh, I didn't know.
You suddenly realizing the day after marriage that, oh, this is not you. You're white all of a sudden. You were brown for the last 8 years. How does this work? No, it doesn't work like that. Come on. I mean, if you're with somebody for some point of time, I would run around in my pajamas in the house. I would make my coffee. I would smoke my joint in the morning. You know my routine. You know my rhythm.
You get married with an idea.
You not just have an idea. You see if you can coexist with the other person. You can't put a lion and a rabbit in the same room and say, let's see what happens. You know what will come out. So you've made a choice to coexist in a certain environment that you have created. You have put down the codes. You have your lines drawn clearly, and everything is clear. And if you say just the day after you got married, you discover that he's not that, then I would say, were your eyes shut all this time? Or I'm sorry, it might sound harsh, but there might be cases like that, but it's not like you discover it the day next.
Talking about what you're saying, one day you must have had your eyes closed. If one day you wake up and realize, it's interesting you said this, because I do feel in some way that I was missing all the signs for what led to the end of my relationship. I felt...
And they say it takes a couple of years for you to get to know somebody.
I felt he was hiding something. I felt there was this wall. I felt there was always something, this hurdle, and I tried to ignore it. And then, he sat me down and told me that he was a cross-dresser and he'd been hiding this his whole life. And he wanted to spend his days going out to the grocery store dressed up and even go to work and things like this. And he still was figuring it out. He wasn't 100% sure what it meant to him. And I sat there kind of going, my best friend has just told me the thing they've held in their entire life. I'm supposed to be here to support you, but you've been lying to me this whole time. And if you're not sure about where this is going and what you're doing, I'm not sure that I can stand by there as your partner anyway and wait for you to figure that out, especially when I do have a kind of more nuclear idea of family and wanting kids and things like this. So, I think it's both of what you said. In some circumstances, I couldn't have known. And on the other hand, I did have a feeling.
It's kind of harsh, no?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine hiding such a secret for you to be able to reveal it to the person you love?
Yeah.
We can say like lying is bad, and it is. But the reality is we all lie. We all have masks. And some of us have like real reason to lie because society tells them you're weird. So their lies are valid. And
in this case, it's harsh.
The only things we can do is try to be there for them, even if we don't understand the whole thing.
Sure. And I could do that not as his partner though.
Yeah.
I spent a whole year still with him after this all went down. I still ended up getting married. He was going through a period of great depression where I encouraged him to go talk to someone about this, to tell friends, to be more open, because I could tell he didn't love himself. And so how am I expected to like get married with you, build a relationship if you don't have that love for yourself there in the first place? And this is maybe something with our generation that's very different from the parents' generation as well. We're much more involved with like mental health and loving ourselves and self-care and things like this. And maybe we're unwilling to get into relationships if we're not sure that we have that for ourselves yet. I think a lot of people are really realizing that needs to come first. And I think that maybe plays a role in not getting married in our generation.
Now, what is that system called? When you pick and choose different things and then you make your own a buffet?
Buffet.
Yeah, buffet.
Buffet.
C'est un grand buffet. Croissant, oui. Pain au chocolat, no. Today I'm having too many calories. I'm going to pick that. You take what you want. You make your plate and you
friendship.
Yeah.
It's how work friendship. You just choose people you want to be surrounded with and use them. Goodbye to everyone. It was nice talking to you. Have a nice rest of the day.
Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Nice to meet you. Because I've been in a situation where I was kind of thrown into it and I felt uncomfortable. So I think it's, if everybody's okay about it. And
I think polyamory is something that is becoming more and more prevalent in our society for all the reasons that, we discussed earlier about this paradox of choice and should we really commit ourselves to one person for the rest of our lives? Should we expect one person to fill all of the needs that we have or should we be looking for in the same way with friendships? We have some friends who are great for going out and ones who are better for listening to us. Maybe we can start thinking of partners in the same way. As of yet, I've not been in a polyamorous relationship. I do enjoy, having that one person. Scheduling gets super complicated when you involve other people and you think about all your friends and their work schedules and the living situation.
And I think you have to be very secure in yourself.
Yes.
Because, jealousy and things like that, play a big part. I mean, for me, it would be extremely hard.
It was the first time I was in something like that. And it was very complicated for me to just understand how to play this game. So what's the rules now? Okay. Oh, shit, I can't move here. No. Okay, I have to do this movement first. No. And then this. No, okay, I can't do this because it was just complicated for me. And I feel I have nothing against people who want to be in a polyamorous relationship. But the only thing for me personally speaking is when I can't put 100% of my attention to someone at some point of time, how would I separate it and do 100 and 100, make 200% of your attention at two different, or maybe on the same day, I'll do morning you and evening you, and I'm like, okay, shit, no, I called you the other name. Okay, no, I'm like, okay, wait, calm down. Like, okay, we have each, and like you said, each partner is informed, there's flow of information, there's clarity, and all of that is there. Yeah, but for me it's very complicated it's multitasking on a very on multiple layers, I would say, and you have to keep.
It's intense, right? Yeah, it's just hard enough with one person, then you have to divide yourself between one.
Yeah, it's like having 4-dimensional chess or something, and you're moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, how do I do this? I don't know, but well, if you can do it and if you can be happy with what you're doing, I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
There's a lot of misinformation around like the actual definition of what a polyamorous relationship looks
exactly.
like. And I think because it is so dependent on the situation and the needs of the people involved, sometimes there's one party who, like a main couple, who are then involved with other people separately. Sometimes it's a group altogether. And because we can't really define it or pin it down, I think that's also why maybe societally it's not as accepted or popular as it might be, because we like things to be clear.
Well, I think just things are just much more fluid. It's okay now to, find somebody or get married much later in life. So much more common. Or even not even get married or be a single parent and not have to go to all this, go through all these steps and the milestones.
And I think as well, don't be so quick to look for a partner for your child or be worried about millennial relationships where on paper it's maybe less standard or it doesn't seem like a good idea. Those things like having a good job or having a car, wanting children, those are less important than someone who actually brings joy and just a positive energy to your life. Because if you're with someone who doesn't make you feel small, you're with someone who's your biggest cheerleader, then success will come. And that's more important than having the success.
And you can build together. You can just help each other, have each other's back, and you be successful together. Exactly. That's the idea.
Totally.
Yeah, it's much more about our happiness than just
necessity. Like we talked about, this kind of stability. A relationship now isn't leaned upon for stability. It's supposed to add more to your life. And my boyfriend is always saying to me, I was happy before I met you, but now I'm happier. And I think that's ideal. The point. Yeah.
I should go back to him and ask him what is his mathematics behind happy and happier? How is he quantifying? Does he have a scale or something? Like if he has one, pass it on.
I'm sure he's gonna know.
We want to know.
We really want to measure how far we can go.
The formula,
Exactly. Yes. But I think that's it. It's not a formula. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
It's great talking to you too.
Pleasure. Thank you for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
This very summery evening, afternoon.
Yeah, likewise.
Have a good one.